Wonderful guitarists and music producers of the internet, I am back with a new product review. I'm thrilled to be one of the first people, I think, anywhere to get hold of the new Focusrite interface, the third generation of their Scarlett line. Before we get into this week's video, make sure to subscribe if you like music tech, guitar stuff, tutorials and stuff, I guess. I've got weekly videos, weekly live streams and all kinds of stuff. It's a very stuff-heavy channel. I hope you like stuff. The Scarlett 3rd generation was released this week with zero fanfare. I kind of like it when companies do that, but it also makes sense from a marketing stance, because you wouldn't shift any 2nd generation products if people thought a new model was imminent. Yeah, so I guess it sucks if you bought a 2nd generation the day before the 3rd generation came out, but what you gonna do? That said, I like the 2nd generation of Scarletts anyway. We use Scarlett solos a bunch at work. I think we've got 9 or 10 units that we use with Pro Tools and Ableton, and they just work. I think really they're one of the most reliable interfaces out there. They're certainly child-proof and idiot-proof and affordable. Tell you what, let's talk about the product overall before we start comparing it to its predecessors. So this is the 2i2. There is a smaller one and several much bigger interfaces available, but this one in particular has 2 XLR or jack inputs with independent gain control, and they have these little LEDs that light up to assure you that you're getting signal, and they go red if you start clipping, which I think is kind of a staple of Focusrite products now. As far as I know, they're the only guys that do that, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's some kind of patent that they exclusively own. That kind of visual feedback is super helpful. Each input has its own independent instrument button, so you can make sure that you're getting the level through that you need depending on what it is you're recording. They also have an air button. That's new, so we'll get to that in a bit. You got a headphone output with its own volume pot, and you've got the stereo jack outputs on the back with their own volume control. That's the monitor, and the outputs are balanced, by the way, so no monitor buzzing. You've got your 48 volt phantom power button, and you've got a direct monitor switch. I feel like that's everything. Oh, you've got a K-lock as well for security. So how does the 3rd generation of Scarlett 2i2 differ from the 2nd generation? Well, the first thing is on the back. You've got a USB-C input rather than a USB-B. The C is reversible, so you're basically going to spend half as much time trying to get the thing in the thing, which is good and handy. Much less fumbling around when you're plugging it in or taking it wherever you gotta go. And I guess the C's are less plastic as well, which I guess is a good thing. Each input now has an air button, and this is kind of the big new thing with this 3rd generation. This is something that comes from Focusrite's Claret range. The air button basically emulates classic analog audio interfaces, so you get additional clarity, especially in the higher frequencies, so things like drum overheads, any kind of acoustic instruments, and especially vocals will really excel with the air button on. Probably not so much with your dry guitar or bass jack, but then you can do crazy effects for them anyway, so it doesn't matter. Scarlett interfaces have always been pretty painless in terms of installation, but I think the new drivers and Focusrite's Quick Start tool have actually made the process even faster. So once you receive the box and you get all the stuff out of there and you plug it in, you can basically hit the ground running. The latency is much improved as well, in that there kind of isn't any, and I'm told that the recording quality is much improved as well. The onboard converters give you 24 bits at 192 kilohertz. What about drawbacks? Well, yeah, there's a couple things. So firstly, I've been using this for a little bit and actually trying it out with live streams. So for that, I need to send a stereo channel of equal volume either side. Getting the volume matched between the left and right ear is actually really tricky, because there's no notches at the halfway mark or 50% or 0 decibels. They're just, you know, seamless, smooth pots. So it can be a pain in the butt to try and get just nudge one thing to be ever so slightly louder. I'd kind of wish that there was just a way to set them so that they both receive the same level, but I've not found it yet, if that is a thing. That's kind of me being really fussy, but it is a pain, and it is something I've noticed a few times when trying to get set up. Overall, these are all decent additions to the Scarlett series. Not enough to put your second generation in the bin, but certainly enough to win over Focusrite's competitors. But I feel like they were winning anyway. But progress is progress, so basically you've got an air button and it sounds better. What's not to like about that? Focusrite have been making audio interfaces for something like 30 years now. I basically trust them to know what they're doing and to innovate where necessary. So with that, I'm going to go. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you, well, honestly, I hope you get one, to be honest, because they work real good and they sound real nice. And that is the short version of the review. I'll see you next Friday, 4 PM GMT. Subscribe. Go on. Do it. See you later.